My name is Joe Reichert. I'd like to welcome you to another episode of Saab Doctor. Today we're in my house garage, which is a little bit awkward, but you can't get to the shop right now. And we're going to be doing work on a 94X. We'll be removing the radio head unit, which is called the silver box, and has been mistakenly called the silver chip by some people, so it can be sent out to United Radio. This is future me interrupting past me to give you a quick update in the intro. I'm actually going to be installing a radio that's not from a Saab in this. So, or I should say, I'm not going to be installing the silver box from a Saab back in this 94X. So, here is past me again, and then reinstalled. So stay tuned on how to do that procedure. Okay, so it's going to be a bit darker in here because, like I said, I'm doing this in my garage, so it's a little bit of a mess, but we're going to pop this dash off so we can take the head unit out. Now, one thing you might notice is I have my WIS laptop with me. I'm going to be using WIS the whole time. There is a link in the description below. With 94Xs, I always use WIS with interior things because you just can't get the parts. So if you're going to do this yourself, be careful, use WIS, and you can follow these steps. Step 1, remove this portion over the cluster. Alright, now sometimes these are actually a bit harder than you think to get them off, because you pry up a little and then you pull forward. Here's an interesting one. There's some markings on this one. 16.2 AP, 1/4 of 11. I'm guessing that's the day that it went through that part of the build process. Alright, we're going to remove these vents. It's a 7 mil. Alright, so to remove this vent, you actually don't have to remove all the screws across. There is just two screws that hold it. There's just these two screws that hold it in. Next up, we remove the bolster underneath the driver's side. And these are just two Phillips. Alright, don't forget to remove this side piece. And then you give it a worrying amount of pull to get it out. Alright, so with the lower bolster out, gives you access to a few other things. What we do next is we're going to pull out this trim piece on the left-hand side. Alright, that's out. And with this particular one, ways that you can tell that the radio's been out before is this is a replacement screw right here. So let's actually start pulling these screws out. It's a really big screw. Makes me wonder if there's supposed to be one there. Anyways, so this actually, we need to pull the ashtray out. There's one Phillips screw in there. If you want to get this out of your way, which you don't have to, but there's just a push button on the top there, that's easy enough. You've removed the first screw from the ashtray. There is a second screw. Do not forget this one. It is on the left side. Then you'll be able to pry the ashtray out of the way. the reason you need to pry the ashtray out of the way is because there are 2 screws at the base. Once you get to that point, you have all the screws, everything out. You can take this and you can peel this back far enough that you can get that silver box out. Now, one thing you do need to do, you do need to disconnect the control panel first. There's just one big white plug. You unplug that, and you can move this out of the way. There it is. This is the part that causes so many people problems. It's just 2 Phillips screws. So it's 2 Phillips screws down here. Remove the screen. There should be 2 screws behind it. So not to ruin the screen, I just disconnected these 2. I'm just going to set that off to the side. Once you have the silver box out, you can just disconnect all the plugs from the back. All right. So there are, well, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 plugs on the back of this. One of them, most of them you need to use a screwdriver on. This one you especially do because this has a little button here. It's hard to see. There's a little button right here on the top. So when this flips up, that actually goes into there. You need to press that to unclick it. So I'm just going to push those back in there. I need to reassemble this because this is actually going to get driven while the radio is out at United Radio getting repaired. Have a brand new one in a few seconds. One thing I do want to make a note of, in WIS it actually says to remove this side panel from the control panel. You don't have to do that to remove this. I don't know why that step's in there, so I just want to make a note of that. Alright, so it's about a month later. I'm back here with the 94X that I was doing the radio on. The guy that I'm working on the 94 for actually grabbed a radio from One Factory Radio. They said this will work. It's supposedly a remanufactured unit. I know I'm going to have to SPS it in. So let's take a look at it quick. The one thing I did notice, and I noted to him right away, is that these tabs are bent. So I'm going to have to give those a bit of readjustment before I put this in the 9.4, because on the 9.4 these are straight up and down. Otherwise, it looks the same and has the same part number. Supposedly this is remanufactured. So we'll find out. This was $185 according to what he said. So this is way cheaper than sending it out to United Radio. So we're going to find out if maybe we have a cheaper alternative. So I need to take that dash back apart. I'm not going to bore you through that because you already saw that in the beginning half. So I'll catch up with you when I've got the dash all apart and we're installing this. Okay, so I've got the dash back apart. When I took this apart, I originally took out this panel for absolutely no reason. And honestly, I don't remember why. But this panel can stay in. I'll make sure to make a note of that on the other side of this. So this is back out. I'm going to grab that new radio. I'm going to bend those 2 tabs up and down so they're flush, because if you look at the original radio, now let me grab this. So when you look at the original radio, those are completely straight where they're rounded on the other one. So I'm going to straighten those up. We're going to get it plugged in. We're going to pretty much see what happens at that point. And we'll SPS it in and hope it works. Now I don't know if these tabs were bent on purpose because of what it came out of, but now I got them bent back straight so they'll fit in the 9.4. So let's get this in and see what happens. Alright, got the new radio. I'm going to start with connecting all the plugs first. Actually, looks like I need to shift it out of park. Alright, now with it shifted out of park, start with all the plugs. You want to make sure all of the plugs are properly seated. There's 7 plugs on the back of the radio. And I'm just going to take this and slide this back into place. Actually, completely forgot. Screen needs to come out. Alright, with the screen out of the way, then you can take the radio, slide it right back into place. I'm just going to throw the top two screws in quick and make sure to grab the right ones. They are the Phillips screws. Alright, once that's in, just going to put the screen back in. And until I test the radio, I'm going to leave the 2 bottom screws. Well, no, I'm going to have to put the 2 bottom screws back in because I need to fit the panel. Well, there goes my cell phone. Unfortunately, you need the control panel out of the place, and you need the car in neutral to do that. Perfect, that's all in. I'm going to take this, line this up, but before I plug the panel in, I'm going to put it in park and shut it off. So then you plug the white panel in, or sorry, you plug the white panel clip or plug in. I'm just going to line this up a little bit. This is going to have to be put in correctly anyways. I want to see what happens when I just turn this on, turn the power on. It's kind of what I thought, that nothing was going to happen. So let me grab the MDI and we're going to see if we can even see it. Okay, so the way I have this set up, I actually have a long enough cable so I can program the car from outside. So following what it says in WIS, so you install, then you access SPS and follow the on-screen instructions. Then on the SPS supported controller screen, you select radio, programming, and follow, and then you clear all DTCs. It should be super easy. So let's just jump in and do it. One thing I want to note, you want to make sure that you have the ignition switch to on when doing this, otherwise it won't be able to pull the car. So hang on just a second. Okay, so once you're in, what you do is you select that you have an MDI, and that you want to reprogram ECU, hit next. So turn ignition off, make sure that the battery is fully charged, turn the ignition on, engine off, connect it, which is already connected, and then hit next. I made the mistake of having GDS2 open, so hang on. Alright. So select my vehicle, Saab. It's a 2011. It is a passenger car. Oh, it is not a passenger car. It is an LD truck MPV incomplete. So now it's pulling info. It says to double check the VIN number. So I'm just going to double check it. I already know this is correct, but I want to make sure that those last 6 numbers are right. And they are. So once you're in here, you can actually select radio, sequencing program, programming normal, next. Then it's US, this is a nav radio with Bluetooth. So right now it's communicating. This is why you want to make sure you have your battery charger on, because the lights are on right now. It says to actually use a jump box or something else. I have a battery charger hooked up. Okay, so once you get to the step where it's saying that you need to figure out the calibration part number, what you do is you jump back into GDS. And here, let me back up. You go into the radio. You hit identification information. Then it says calibration part number 2, which that's what it's looking for. So calibration part number 2 is 227-68898 for this one. So I look for 227-68. Oops, scroll up a bit more. 227. 68898. So that's the one that I choose. Now this radio wouldn't boot at first. I found out that the owner took the fuse out most likely, so it didn't keep flashing the Saab and the other logo. So that's back in. Now make sure before you do anything next, you close GDS2, because otherwise it can't SPS. So it's closed. So you hit next. So then at this point, looks like I might actually need to jump back in and figure out what operating system, audio, and rear view camera that we have. So let me jump back into GDS2. So it looks like for the operating system, that's calibration part number 1. So we'll select this. Okay, so for these, what you do is you can go through and you can actually see what the description is. So, for example, only for use with UQS speakers, and this is only for UQ3. Okay, so to correctly figure out all these options, you can pull out, and I'm just going to cover the VIN, you can pull out the RPO code sheet, which is actually on the passenger side floor. This is just that floor piece that fits in there. So let's take a look here. We need to do audio first. So we're looking for U. And it's UQ3 or UQS. This was the UQS car. Okay, the next one was system. I'm looking for RPO, UK2, ULD, So let's do this one at a time here. Let me start with the top one. Alright. It does not have rear seat ULD. So let's start with ULD. So it does not have ULD. And UWG does not have UWG. I know that because it doesn't have that. So we're looking for UPF. It's the next setting. It does have UPF only. So it's probably this one, but let me just check what's XM. UK2? Oh, sorry, U2K. Does not have U2K. So then it's this one. Then rear view camera. That one I do not know, but let me check on these different ones. That does have UVC. So I need UD5. So we got UD5. I just want to make sure. So I have UVC and UD5. So now I've got these all selected, so I can hit next. So that should be good. Hit next. I have to get out of GDS2. So I have to go back, go back, go back, and then I can get out of GDS2. Alright, and actually it's reprogramming right now as we speak, now that it's out of GDS2. So we will give that a few minutes. Alright, now it says that the programming is complete. Recorded on a warranty claim, blah blah blah. Clear all DTCs. So let's do that. And that may take a minute. And then after we do that, we're going to check and see if this radio still shows a Buick logo like it did the first time I got it to power up. Which I didn't show on camera. I probably should have. Okay. It says it's all complete. DTCs are cleared. So I should be able to close out. All right. Let's go check it out. All right. Because I haven't even checked this yet. No way. It works. This is amazing. So that works. Let's hit the, hit the nav button. Okay. Oh, it works. It doesn't have any GPS right now, so it doesn't know where we are. But that'll come in when this is outside. Sweet. Okay, to reassemble the dash is just the opposite of how you took it apart. So what you're going to do, you want to get this panel all lined up. Once it's all lined up, you put your 4 screws back in. These are 4 of the 7 mils. Alright, once those are in, you need the remote. You need to be able to put it in neutral. Once it's in neutral, you put the cigarette lighter back in. Make sure you plug everything back in. And this has 2 Phillips screws. A long one and a short one. The long one goes on the left, and the short one goes in the bottom of the tray. All right, at this point, don't forget to put your rubber piece back in. Definitely don't want to forget a rubber. Put this piece in. All right, when you put this trim piece in, you want to make sure to line up the top first because there's a little dimple. You get that top lined up. Then you give her a nice push, and she'll go right back into place. There we go. Okay, once that's all in place, what you want to do next is you want to put the vent back in. Don't forget to plug
your four-way switch and your unlock and lock switch back in. Then that has one screw right here in the middle. Then you put your dash pad back in. Which is super easy. That's all back together now. Then what you're going to do next is you're going to put this under portion back in, which is just this, a couple clips and 2 screws. And I'm going to be honest, I don't even know why this portion comes out, but it's in WIS, so I always take it out. And last but not least, this piece goes on the side. This has to come out when you take this under portion off. And now the dash of the 9.4 is all back together.
Well, that went a whole lot easier than I expected. We were able to install what used to be a Buick silver box in the 9.4X, program it with SPS, grab the RPO codes, and everything works perfect. Park assist works perfect. The rear view, the backup camera works perfect. Navigation works perfect. Everything works 100% as it would have from the factory with the Saab unit. So it's really, really cool to know that you can actually go and grab one of these units and not have a problem. Now, I believe this one was remanufactured. I'll put a link in the description below to it. I'm actually really, really impressed that it worked and that there weren't any issues. So that's really, really cool. Anyways, I'm going to keep this ending short but sweet. Thank you for tuning in. If you enjoyed this, please like, share, and subscribe, and Saab on, folks.